They are called witches, Part 5. A story by Eby's heart. On his way back home, Aluko kept thinking why he suddenly feels something was wrong. He had noticed his mother's change in attitude, but didn't think much of it. After all, women change all the time, he had told himself. By the time he got home, it was already very dark. He left the mirror in the car and walked in and started shouting, "I will make sure Auntie Moji is jailed for hiding my children." He was still talking when Neka and Grandma joined him. He kept shouting and threatening. Neka took Grandma aside and was whispering something in her ear. "So this is true. When did my mother and Neka start being best friends?" Aluko thought to himself. This was all he needed to be more cautious. He carelessly kept the mirror in his room and sat down in his bedroom. He waited for Neka to come in. When she came in, she went straight to the dressing table as usual and picked the mirror. "You got a new mirror?" she asked, turning to look at her husband to be sure he suspects nothing. Aluko casually answered, "Not really. I don't know who forgot that thing inside my car." Neka, who always looked at herself in the mirror, picked the mirror up and looked at herself. Aluko rushed towards her and held her from behind and pretended to be whispering into her ears. He quickly glanced at the mirror and saw the scariest thing he had ever seen. A ghostly face without eyes. He was startled and wanted to scream, but simply said, "I feel so dizzy," and sat down. "I am so worried about this whole thing." Neka, who wanted to suspect something, brushed it aside when Aluko started kissing her. After a while, Aluko pretended to answer a call confirming the location of his children and was rushing to leave. He was almost at the door when his mother shouted, "Neka, hold him down. He knows, I think he knows." Aluko, on hearing this, quickly slammed the door and ran to his car. He drove off but saw Neka chasing after him. That was when he realized things were even worse than he thought. Aluko called Auntie Moji on the phone and was crying, "Neka is pursuing me and the speed she is using is unnatural. Please, what do I do?" "Start going to my father's house in the village," Auntie Moji shouted. "I just hope you have enough fuel. Start going there now and make sure she doesn't catch you." Aluko started speeding towards his first wife's village. As he drove, he kept praying to God to help him and was also pleading with his dead wife to forgive him. Aluko was practically flying with speed. Thank God it was so late at night, the road was a bit clear. Neka was following him, closing and shouting, "You have no place to hide. Anywhere you enter, I must find you. You belong to me." It was almost 2 a.m. when Aluko got to his dead wife's family house. He drove in with speed and ran to the door to knock. They were already waiting for him outside because Auntie Moji had called earlier. Neka got in and rushed to enter, but Moji's stepfather poured something on her. She cried and ran back into her car. She drove off and was racing back home. That was when she touched her face and discovered that her face had fallen off. Fear gripped her. "How do I get home before dawn?" Neka cried. She was still speeding to get back home when her car stopped on the road. Her fuel finished.
Please like, share and follow for the next part.